Hi everyone. I'm acting chairperson of the HRM program. Um, it is. I'm very delighted to be with you here to give you a brief introduction, to also share a bit of experience from students' perspective view of this program here. It is a human resource management is a 1 year long program which gives you exposure to the knowledge and practice which you need for you to work in the area of human resource management afterwards, obviously. Also, there's a bonus point that is our program is CIPD accredited. So you will get CIPD accreditation after your upon your successful completion of the program afterwards, which is essentially required for anyone want to work in area in the UK and Ireland and other European countries. So today I'm very delighted to have two excellent graduates, Roshan and Grace, to be here with you to share a bit of their experience about the program or also what they've been doing afterwards. So Grace and Roshan, thank you very much for being here. So do you want to share what you've been doing since your graduation from the program, and what's your overall impression of the program?
Yeah, so I could start then if that's okay. So we graduated just the year gone through the class of 2020, and after graduating I got a role with Amazon, so I'm a senior HR administrator, and I think the program really set me up very well. I think it gave me a lot of confidence in my opinions and like what I know, because I think when you go into HR in such depth in the masters, when you actually go into the working world, you've such confidence in stating your opinions and kind of knowing what's best practice. I think as well what I really enjoyed about the course, and I'm sure Rashid could agree, we had a great mix of academics and practical stuff. So we did disciplinary hearings, we went to the labour court, we had job interviews, we had like a live consulting project with real clients. So it just meant that when we went into the workforce, I think we were really capable and confident in our abilities.
Yeah.
Roshan?
Yeah, like exactly what Grace said. So currently I'm working as a project worker. So I got that role in summer, and now I'm applying for HR roles. And like just to exemplify the usefulness of having the masters, I was contacted this week on LinkedIn by a lady for a HR consultant role, and she said like one of the main requirements is a master's in HR. So it really does give you that extra leg up. And also just doing the course, you just gain so much knowledge. Like I had no knowledge really of HR before I did the course at all, and you just gain how wide the variety of the field is, and you wouldn't really know that unless you do the masters, because it's not something that you go and research yourself really. So it gives you a lot of opportunities that you wouldn't think of before. And also, yeah, the practical side I think was my absolute favorite, because I came from a course in undergrad that was just all theoretical. So getting the practical side where you can actually apply it to real life, like it being ingrained in you, you remember it a lot better and you can apply it so much more easily. Like the consultant assignment was one of my favorites. It was basically we interviewed a Dublin-based tech company, interviewed the CEO, and then went into an analysis of what they're doing well, what they're not doing well, what they can improve on, offer recommendations. And that's just invaluable knowledge that you take for the rest of your career, I think. So that was my favorite part, just the practical side of the HR, definitely.
Well, thank you very much. As you said, some of the potential applicants, I guess they don't have much experience in working in HR. So do you want to share a bit of experience working as HR personnel in your with your current employer? Like what does job entail on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, 100%. So as I said, I'm working with Amazon, so I'm a senior HR administrator. So I manage the pre-onboarding for UK corporate candidates in Amazon. So it's really interesting. We basically, once you get a job offer, you kind of have to go through me before you can actually start. So we have a lot of interaction with recruiters and HR business partners and onboarding to make sure that everyone who's starting at Amazon meets the criteria, that they aren't like criminals or anything crazy like that, and make sure that the candidates are happy with their experience. Also, the good thing with Amazon, I suppose, is you have a lot of extracurricular kind of bits outside your job. So I interview candidates for roles in Amazon, and I also do like employee engagement projects, which again, without having done the masters, I probably wouldn't have had the confidence to like volunteer myself for those roles so fresh into a job. But because we'd had such similar experiences in the masters, I felt quite capable of it. So yeah, my job's just dealing a lot with candidates, trying to solve problems, trying to make sure that the quality is upheld, because as you can imagine, like there's a million employees in Amazon, so people can slip through the cracks so easily. So making sure the quality is always high and the candidate experience is always as good as possible.
Yeah, so our program covers a broad range of content from, as you have said, mentioned, from theory, from a practice perspective. We had this, we will have this field trip for a week. You had a chance to visit big employers in Europe and talk to the people and get really first-hand information how HR works and what this is about. So, which aspect or which module or which task you've had during your program you think is most useful for your current job? How any of the modules of content do you think, oh, I just information can be quickly applied?
I would say for mine, the strategic HRM and the organisational analysis were probably really good, because it was really good to get an insight into HR at like quite a high level. And I feel like now in my jobs, I can kind of see why the decisions are being made and how that's going to impact further on. And on top of that, like the international trip to Leuven was such an amazing experience to see HR in practice and kind of bring what we learned from like page to stage. And I felt like we went to such a variety of companies, and some of them were very different managements of HR. We could kind of see maybe what worked and what didn't work and what we thought about things. And yeah.
Roshin, do you have any tasks or any modules you still remember? You think, oh, that's really relevant to my current job?
Yeah, you see, right now I'm working as a project worker, so that's not exactly in HR. So I'm like just doing the applying now. I've did my X amount of months in this role, so now I'm applying. But I think what was really useful for the recruitment side is that it's a leadership and career development module. So we learned exactly how we get like graded on our CV, how to do it properly. We get graded on our cover letter. Like we get like a template of how exactly that you should present a cover letter. And like you get a lot of tips on how to network and how to like just on your LinkedIn, you get your LinkedIn profile set up too. And it's just like all top tips that you wouldn't really get from, if you're not getting it from an expert, and we get it from our expert lecturer who is years in the industry and knows exactly what employers are looking for. So that definitely gives you a leg up and it makes you stand out from the crowd, which is essential when you're applying for roles, because you're against so many people, especially at the minute when there's just, especially with like the market, how the market is. I remember I first when in summer I was looking at jobs, and there was this job that it was like an okay job. Like I didn't think it was like not a lot of pay. I was like, oh, I'll apply for this, and I got to the final round thinking, oh, like it probably was like against 100 people, and they told me I was against over 1,000 when usually I'd be against 200. So standing out is definitely essential in today's market. But hopefully by the time you graduate, the market will level out a lot more and be a lot more friendlier to graduates.
So obviously, also you mentioned that your job covers a variety of different aspects for the operation of the employer. So does the current lockdown situation make a big difference? Do you find it more difficult or more challenging to do your current job because you need to work from home, I suppose?
Yeah, so I work from home full time. We're not allowed into the offices at all until about July. So it definitely has its moments, especially when we were, I suppose Roshi could as well probably agree with this, when we were doing our masters, rural Ireland Wi-Fi was really tested throughout it all. But yeah, it is difficult, especially for the candidates as well. It's been very stressful starting a job online and trying to get everything set up and get all their IT equipment. But I mean, DCU had us really well prepared, because obviously we did part of our modules online. So I feel like it was a really easy transition, maybe compared to other people, and it was kind of a lot more seamless because we'd had that experience with DCU.
Roshan?
Yeah, well, I'm actually
working. Do you find it difficult, or?
I'm actually working in the office, so nothing has really changed for me, but I agree with Grace. Like we had about a week to figure out how we're going to get the masters from in person to online, and the transition actually was seamless. Yeah. Like we had to do an assignment. I think Grace was on an assignment next week that was presenting a lecture, like a 1.5 hour lecture for her group to the class, and she had to figure out how you do that on Zoom within a few days when Zoom wasn't ever a thing before. Yeah. It really makes you like think of outside the box, and like really makes you adaptable and flexible, and realize it's not a big deal. Just go with plan B and get over it. Yeah. So yeah. it really does like learn you, like it was a big lesson, definitely.
Yeah, I think my big thing as well working from home is just to make sure your time is very structured. So like log out at 5 o'clock, because it's so easy to be like, oh, what's another few hours? And then before you know it, you're working like all day, every day, and like getting out for exercise and stuff. And I suppose as well, like obviously having done a master's, like your time management is so improved, because I mean, if anyone could do a thesis, they definitely know how to manage their time quite well. So that kind of stuff is definitely just the only thing that I think is important when you're working from home, just to make sure that you log off when you're supposed to log off and actually take a lunch instead of just working through it.
Yeah, totally. I agree. The boundary completely blurred, just given the current situation. So, do you have any advice for applicants in preparation for their application to the program, or also in preparation for their future career in the human resource management in general?
So my biggest advice for people on the program would be to take advantage of all the opportunities and resources that DCU has. Like the lecturers are all like subject matter experts and they're leaders in their field, and it's so unique to be able to have such close access to people who really know that much about HR and who are on like the front line of change. So I definitely say when you're there, like ask as many questions, get all the answers you've ever wanted while you're there, because it's not often in the real world that you get that kind of access to people. And then I suppose when it comes to just preparing for like a career, it's like being a CIPD member is so essential, as you were saying, in the UK and Ireland. Like it really is like necessary if you need to have a job in HR. And just use the experiences you've had on the masters, because although it mightn't be professional work experience, our masters is such a good mix of academic and practical that you could bring so many actual tangible skills into the working world.
Roshan?
Yeah, my advice would just be like soak everything in and volunteer if you need to. If they're asking anyone wants to volunteer, get stuck in and just like listen to lectures and never be afraid to ask questions, because they're so approachable. They want you to ask questions, and like just never feel awkward that, oh, this is going to be a stupid question, just ask it, because like you really get closer to the lecturers then, and like you feel so comfortable, and it gives you such confidence in class. Like raise your hand and put up your opinion, because you'll definitely bring that then to the workplace. You'll never be stressed out giving your opinion when your supervisor is asked in a group. You'll feel very comfortable just stating what you think. It really just gives you a lot of confidence. I think what Grace said earlier, like confidence in your ability in HR, your theoretical knowledge, your practical knowledge. So that really you'll take that for the rest of your career, and it'll give you confidence to apply for different positions that you never would think that you have enough qualifications to apply for or enough background experience. It really just gives you a lot of confidence, and so that's invaluable, 100%.
And then just building from that as well, what I really liked about our course is the lecturers are there, like even though we've all graduated, they're still there, they're still keeping in contact, and if you have any questions, they're really open to it, which is really nice to kind of have that network, that academic network, while you're not in the masters anymore, and it's something that I think we all really do appreciate from them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so as you said, like if you just don't be shy from asking questions, or you have any information you want to share with the class, with the lectures. So same as if you have any questions in general in relation to the your application to the program, and just feel free to get in touch. We're more than happy to share our knowledge, our experience, and everything with you guys here. So I suppose that's Caroline, and handing the stage back to you. I think you muted.
I'm on. It's mad to think that a year later I can still be on mute while trying to talk. But anyway, it happens. There's a question has arrived into the Q&A box there, and it's about their dissertation. I just said I'd pop on to make sure that it's seen. So somebody has asked how the dissertation fits into the module structure, and whether, I guess this is a question for Grace and for Roisin, whether you felt there were adequate supports to help with the dissertation. And then that'll be it, I think.
Yeah, so I can say anyway with the dissertation, so we, like support wise, I have friends who completed other masters in other universities, and I could say what we had in the dissertation was so amazing with support the whole way through the masters. So we completed a research proposal in the first semester, and then in the second semester we were able to build on that. We got our supervisors, and the thesis was due in July, I think, if I'm correct. It was due in the summer, so it was very spread out, but what it meant was that we were able to build on our idea from the start of the masters till the end, which was very good. We weren't left kind of in the dark until the last minute, which I really appreciated. And it was very easy, well, not easy, I don't know if that's the right word, but it was manageable to structure it around other modules. So the way the masters worked was we had left test modules in the second semester to account for the fact that we'd be doing a thesis and collecting data and things like that. But I mean, I'm sure Ross, you could agree, all the supervisors really went above and beyond, particularly with COVID, and we kind of were all put in a bit of a limbo very suddenly. But we did receive support from the very start of semester one with our research proposals and Watson boxes. So by the time we actually did the thesis, we had a very solid foundation of what our ideas were.
Yeah, like I think the most useful part of that whole process was doing the Watson boxes. I think before Christmas, was it?
Yeah, it was quite early.
And like that really gets you thinking about the thesis and gets you like thinking about what your idea should be and what you need to accomplish in the next few months. Because if you don't start that in semester one, then you're going to be stressing all semester two. So it really gives you a good just starting point and like gives you time to think about everything and like execute what you want actually to do and get feedback then from the lecturers very early on and from your supervisors. So that's really helpful.
Yeah, and like I had never completed any like large body of work, no final year project, no dissertation in my undergrad. So needless to say, I was nervous, and like the support was amazing, and it really, by the end of it, it was like not as difficult as a lot of people would have imagined because it was so manageable. And with the Watson box and everything, we were building on it